Holy Cronenberg Batman! Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
And we're back, and I am the resident noob to Batman the Animated Series here, and Dragon is the resident expert. And Dragon is here to guide me on the ways of the Bat. Dragon, take it away.
Yeah, you see, folks, long ago I made a vow to educate Tiki in the ways of Batman the Animated Series, serving as his spirit guide to Gotham in a way.
Yeah, and today we're talking about Feet of Clay, Part 2. Okay. So, Dragon, this should go by pretty fast. We already talked about Feet of Clay Part 1. Very good episode. This is a really interesting follow-up to it, of course. I'm sorry, Dragon, I keep using this comparison, but it's very Cronenberg-esque. You know what I mean? It's got a lot of body horror elements to it. In a good way.
Yeah.
I don't really have much more to say about the episode than that. It's a very satisfying conclusion to the Clayface storyline. Now I'm doing the Two-Face thing. So, all right, what do you got in terms of background, Dragon?
Very minimal, because we went over the majority of basically a little walkthrough on, the whole actor darn it, the whole actor Clayface thing, Basil Carlo, Matt Hagen, this whole thing. Basically, let's just say the Matt Hagen side of things is where the shape-shifting really comes in handy. You get to see that in this episode a lot, and maybe it's a little refreshers of the director. Now, we have a different director on this one, so that's important. So we have an excellent director on this one. We have the great Kevin Altieri. Now, Kevin Altieri directed this episode. Now, Kevin Altieri he's on a slew of great episodes, but the two he's probably most that were most relevant to this. He did On Leather Wings, which of course was the first episode, which is very well animated.
Another very cinematic one, yeah.
And the one that's very appropriate for this, that we keep tripping ourselves up over, he did the second part of Two-Face. I think he did both Two-Faces, but I know he did the second part. And our writing team's the same. We have Marv Wolfman, who, of course, is famous for his work in Teen Titans, but also kind of the Batman with kind of who has really clever comeuppances for his bad guys. Really kind of intimidating with the interrogations.
Sure.
Kind of a Batman, a few words. It's kind of
like a few steps away from being like the crazy Steve Frank Miller Batman, but not crossing that, not going overboard.
I mean, honestly, and another thing to hit on with Marv Wolfman, of course, Marv Wolfman did, he's the guy who's responsible for the big crossovers in DC. He did Crisis on Infinite Earths.
That's a big one.
That was him. Basically, that kind of cements the whole Batman-Flash dynamic in a way. So that along with Flashpoint really cement their thing. So basically, Marv Wolfman's kind of like a greatest hits compilation of Batman. That's kind of what Marv Wolfman is. He's kind of like, hey, what we do? Basically, he's a very consistent, like, kind of Batman. So, also Michael Reeves, who wrote Mask of the Phantasm, he worked on this, kind of leading to a really good kind of conclusion to this. Now, the big change up from the other episodes, aside from our excellent director, again, nothing against Dick Sebast. He had another great episode, Robin's Reckoning, but Kevin Altieri is another thing entirely. And he's paired with an excellent studio. He is paired with TMS. TMS is legendary in Batman. TMS, next to Spectrum. Spectrum, that's the Phantasm Animation Studio. But next to that, and Heart of Ice and Phantasm, that's Spectrum. That's Spectrum. TMS is they're all overseas technically, but TMS is like I believe that's in Tokyo. It's like the abbreviation's like Tokyo something or other. TMS, and they've done episodes. They did Two-Face. They did they did my favorite two-parters. They did Two-Face. They did Demon's Quest, which is the Ra's al Ghul episode. It's my favorite two-parter. And the one I'm sure I'm sure you're going to recognize when I mentioned it, Return of the Joker, Batman Beyond Return of the Joker. That was them. That's all them.
Sure, yeah.
So TMS is just very, very well known. They did the majority of the New Adventures of Batman. They did almost every episode of New Adventures of Batman.
Okay.
That's the point. TMS has got a large bona fide, and that's basically like they're the highest quality of like kind of the hard stuff in animation for Batman the Animators always goes to TMS. All the really hard, cool looking stuff that always goes to TMS.
Gotcha.
That's something Bruce Timm's very proud of. With TMS, they do some of the best work, which of course shines, the climax of this episode. So let's just jump right into it.
Okay, so we start with Bruce Wayne getting his mugshot taken, and Dragon, that's about all you can, that's about the extent of Bruce Wayne in jail that you're going to get, you know what I mean?
Sure. But again, such an eerie image to start an episode off. Again, Bruce Wayne getting a mugshot. Like, what world are we living in?
That's literally it. Like, that's literally all you're going to be capable of doing with Bruce Wayne in jail.
We got to remember, he's only been, he's out on bail, so, didn't get convicted or anything. It was just, he's been booked.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's Bruce Wayne. You're gonna be out on bail no matter what.
True.
Very easy to get that bail if you're Bruce Wayne.
After the booking and the bail, thanks to Alfred, I'm sure.
Uh,
Bruce is not happy. And again, the Wayne, you gotta imagine that with this iteration of Bruce Wayne, this is a Bruce Wayne who very much is like celebrating the father's company instead of just kind of rolling with it to keep up appearances. This is a guy who kind of cares about it. Like Bruce really does care about his family name being tainted. So this means something to him. So he's not happy.
mm-hmm.
And we have a really and Tiki, this is like what I'm talking about TMS quality here. Is that in this opening scene, I just completely forgot about this rewatching. It's like, oh my God, it just holds up so well. Is that when Bruce gets in the car, like the windows are rolling up, and we have this great shot where we see all these great angles where Alfred he's driving the car in his little driver's uniform.
Right.
So a little bit that's a consistent thing, by the way. It's always when we have Alfred driving the car, he's always wearing the driving outfit. We have these great angles in the car, and one of the great angles here is that Alfred is looking in the rearview mirror, and we see in silhouette. It's like there's white. It's this great kind of black and white silhouette almost of Bruce suiting up. Because I like this. It's kind of hitting on those kind of that identity, kind of an actor assuming a role type thing, where it's a Bruce kind of in silhouette putting on the Batman costume in the car, and it looks really great.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful little mirror shot. So. Okay, so he exits the car, to get to the bottom of the
Alfred's
uncanny.
kind of talking about, how bizarre it is that Lucius is pointing fingers at Wayne since he's been with the company so long.
Exactly. So that means to them, okay, whoever this imposter is, he did an uncanny job. I got to get to the bottom of how he's doing it and who's the guy under the mask. So meanwhile, we cut to that guy, and again, good editing. Still, we go from that to our bad guy. So we check in with Clayface, who we originated at the very end of the last episode, where he's looked upon himself in a mirror. Hey, actually, wait a minute. Another rear view mirror shot again. I just wish these are good parallels we have visually done here. I just wish we had a little bit more of that in the story. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we see Clayface in Matt Hagen's trailer, and he's now just kind of stewing on his dead career. And I really like this, though. I like that we're hitting upon the death of the B-movie actor's career with yet another setback, yet another kind of car accident level event for him.
Yeah, that's what you were saying. The episode really is kind of an interesting little examination. It's kind of like it's got a double meaning to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like he does. Like as far as Matt Hagen's concerned, like his life has been built around just a taste of Hollywood, and without that, again, addicted to that as much as he is addicted to the Renew You, which now he is coded. He's become his addiction. He has become just kind of the. I'm trying not to say just his addiction again. He has become just kind of the last vestige of hanging on to his career. Is now coating his entire body. It's saturated his cells. He's wallowing in a B movie and clinging to a B movie career. Now it's overcome him, and now he's just in this.
It's almost kind of like a scenario of like, what if somehow Boris Karloff, got stuck in one of his faces.
And that's the thing, T. That's the one, T. As much as I love this episode more than I love the previous one. I'll kind of give that away a little bit now, man. Again, this episode has a lot going for it, but the only thing I can really hold against this whole two-parter is that we have a lot of missed opportunities with Clayface here that we could really hit upon this actor stuff a lot more.
There's a big one, Dragon. There's a big one that we'll get to later on that really stuck out to me.
The big shame we're about to hit upon it, so I'm getting a little bit out of the way here now because we're gonna have a cool little flashback soon. Is that I think the shame is we don't get to know Matt Hagen more. It would be nice if we got to know the guy
because he's certainly got a good motivation.
Yeah, and again, it's a guy who he judges himself as an actor with his fame before that's why he has such a low opinion of with his career dead, he doesn't matter anymore. He's not Matt Hagen anymore. He abandons that actor because again, he's not him anymore. It was without that name, without that cachet of name. He's nothing, so he's rebuilding himself as a monster. Imagine this, Tiki. If Boris Karloff was lost to all his roles, and that's the thing. It's like, what if the horror movie actor was just kind of became
to be honest with you, Lon Chaney would probably be the better example here.
That's what I'm sorry. I meant to because Lon Chaney Lon Chaney Sr. influence from Bob Kane. That's what I was aiming
Uh,
for. But you're right, Dave. I'm sorry. You're absolutely correct. Yes, that's
no,
what
I said Boris Karloff because the one Clayface was named after Karloff, but
yes. But I mean, yeah, very much like a Lon Chaney effect, the man of 1,000 faces. What if you became your monster, and that's kind of like all you're left with? It's kind of. I think they could have done like another Grey Ghost parallel of typecasting. You know what I mean?
yeah, definitely.
But anyway, so let's getting back to the players. So Teddy's the optimist. Of course, we like Teddy. Teddy's a good character.
Yeah, we did a lot of examination on that in part 1. I think we kind of broke that down pretty thoroughly.
Yeah, sure. So Teddy's the optimist in this situation, and he hopes that Matt can make a comeback like he did before with the whole with the Renew You. And I like that Teddy makes a really optimistic point that hey, after the accident, you had some of your best roles. After you used the Renew You.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the design of Clay. Let's talk about the design of Clayface. D. This is your first experience with Clayface. What did you think of it?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen like stills and like brief clips here and there of Clayface, but seeing him in action, seeing like a full story based around him, it's a really unique design. Dragon, like honestly, the comparison I kept going back to, and obviously given the timeline, this would be an influence on what I'm about to cite, but it kind of reminded me of Spider-Man 3's Sandman, which, of course, as we know, like visually is one of the few interesting things in Spider-Man 3.
Right. And I take it. I'll tell you this because in the revamp, they basically they streamline a lot of stuff, and that's always been a shame because you have in the original animated series, you have all these great designs, and these designs, especially Clayface, is always the go-to for this example because Clayface was every time I look at Clay, it's like a thing of beauty in terms of design work and animation because it's like a painstaking look because he's kind of drippy and he's never like he's never consistently. It's not a simple model, It's like it's kind of complicated line work and of course all the morphing and everything. So this original Clayface is something to appreciate. You only see this original take on Clayface twice in the animated series, in this episode and of course in another one. In season 2, but then when he comes back in New Adventures, they basically made him a little more red, and he's simple. He's like they made him more of a mud man. Just like they made it's not it's similar, but it's not as beautiful as this,
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. The flashback's a little later on. I was jumping the gun a little bit there, but let's see. So Daggett, we'll go rolling Daggett for a moment here.
Okay. So he's let's see, he's being informed that that Hagen was apparently taken care of.
Yep, that bell hasn't cracked because of course Batman put the fear of God into him, but also he was arrested. Of course, it's kind of funny. They're going to realize that. I don't know. It's like Batman did bend the rule to kind of get Bell arrested. Most likely, Bell's going to get out regardless. So it's. I don't know. The guys thinking that worked out. But, I love that we're also establishing. We have great visual storytelling and setup going on here as Germs is going through the scene. He's opening the door. And he is, of course, being a germaphobe, he's used like a hanky or something to open the door. So we're establishing visually that he is not just called Germs for some unknown reason. He's called Germs because he does not want to touch anything. He's afraid of all sorts of germs.
Right.
And Daggett still has designs on owning Wayne Enterprises. If I were to be a betting man, I want to say that. That's another thing I got to hold against the episode. Again, missed opportunities. That's all. It's nothing bad against the episodes. Like they could have done more. Is that Daggett has always been kind of underdeveloped. Is that we never. This is Roland Daggett's big episode. And again,
he's a good idea for a character.
Yeah, again, it's like we could do kind of our own stamp on Max Schreck, but unfortunately we don't. He's just more like he's kind of a half-baked Norman Osborn. But again, we could do stuff with him though, but we don't really do it. Well, I will say, Tiki, and this is something to look forward to. We do have aftermath with Daggett, though. Like, Daggett's career does kind of track and go downward after this episode when we see him in subsequent appearances. And we do stuff afterwards, but we never built up the original character.
All right.
So, yes, so we visually communicate the little germaphobe bits. We see this really creepy room and the great green lighting that TMS is loving to play with here, like the green vats that are kind of reflecting and lighting the scene. He needs basically Daggett reaffirms, okay, we need Fox killed, and basically he needs Germs to do it. Uh-huh. And of course, Fox is in the hospital, and Germs is terrified, terrified of hospitals.
Right.
And again, the great Ed Bigley Jr. is playing that up so cowardly. He's playing such a wonderfully a wonderful coward of a character right here. It's just like, oh, Mr. Daggett, but he's in a hospital with all those sick people. And of course, his dad gives him a look like, you're doing this, aren't you? It's really funny. So then we have this great kind of flashback mirror transition here, where Hagen is basically reflecting upon his career.
Yeah, I love this scene. This kind of stuff is what makes the episode for me, I think.
And this is what I'm talking about. I wish we had a little bit more. I wish there was like a framing device, kind of like, like in Killing Joke, where we have not to the same extent of Killing Joke, but if we had like this a little bit more like that, a little more like flashbacks here and there.
Yeah.
Again, it would have maybe kind of made it cooler, but it was still really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You want to take us through?
Yeah, sure. So, so basically we see that he was kind of the first test subject for the cream after he had, the accident that disfigured his face.
There's a beautiful image of him like all wrapped up. Again, it feels like Invisible Man look to it. It feels like old horror, Universal horror, the way it's shot.
Let's see. We see Daggett, he's basically making the sales pitch like, hey, it could do in minutes what plastic surgery would take years to accomplish.
And I love that it's done only with Matt narrating. I love we don't hear this scene. I love we see it. Like all the visual cues are there as like kind of Hagen's just kind of narrating what it was. And basically it's playing a plastic surgery in a jar.
Mm-hmm. And of course we see it worked, but then we saw the side effects and the addictive qualities, and not good.
Yeah, I mean, kind of that brief little flashback. I think it's them kind of going for sort of a Heart of Ice flashback, but not to the same Emmy-winning extent.
Of course, I mean that's a tough act to follow.
This episode did earn an Emmy nomination for score, though. It did earn a nomination for score.
Right.
It does have really good music. The Clayface theme. We have two Clayface themes. The whole like. Dun, 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 dun. Of course, the dun, dun, dun. We have the sad Clayface with the menacing Clayface, and they're both really, a lot of good, sad, poetic music going on there. Anyway, so with that haunting, dramatic theme, we see. I love the set piece here. I love how it foreshadows his ending. Tiki. We have the wall full of posters, of movie posters with Matt Hagen from his films. So, and again, we have like the idea he was like a kind of an Edward G, almost like a wannabe Edward G. Robinson. This is a guy who he played he was like an actor who was contracted by studios, for multiple pictures. And it didn't really matter if he was like a great actor. It mattered that he was a great actor at a time, and they kept him on for a bunch of projects. So that's kind of the old kind of universal.
Almost kind of like Bela Lugosi at the end of his career too.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. It's like how Bela Lugosi kind of turned into a B movie actor exclusively after the big one. That's basically what we see as he's going through these parts. And we see he's been gangsters, he's been war heroes, been very generic parts. He's been swashbucklers, he's been knights. Basically like the square jawed type.
Yeah.
Again, which plays off a simplistic look. And anyway, so old Hollywood stuff, really cool. So anyway, so as Matt is reminiscing and he's walking through, we have this really great device set up. Tiki, tell him what it is.
Yeah, it basically starts shape-shifting through the different, the looks of the different performances. And as Teddy points out, it looks like it's like a reflex, like he wasn't even thinking about it.
And I love that. I love the device. Just him like kind of thinking back to it a little bit, like getting a little like nostalgic as a reflex action. It kind of triggers a reaction in his body, and I love that it's going to be used against him so much. We'll get there.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Dragon, but unfortunately I feel like we're about to come upon like the biggest missed opportunity of the whole episode. Like literally, Dragon, the moment that made me go back, rewind, and make sure I didn't miss anything in between the two scenes. It was like a really jarring cut.
I will say this though. I think it speaks volumes to the kind of. Well, we'll get there. Let's just go. Let's say what it is.
Yeah. So essentially, we have this really, a moment with a lot of pathos behind it, where we see that Hagen, he can transform himself, but it's basically like it's like
tensing a muscle.
It's like testing a muscle.
Yes, and again,
so he could never maintain the form long enough to have a solid acting career. Essentially,
the cool thing with the shapeshifting here is again in the first episode we got kind of the old school kind of 40s, just mask kind of Clayface. In this case, he can. His whole body can.
They go balls to the walls with the transformations in this episode.
That's the thing. I love how we build it up though, Tiki. Again, initially it was just it's just the face, and then of course it's like he can do the full costume, and then as it gets more creative, and he can shapeshift weapons and stuff, and I look at like kind of the evolution. That's the thing. We always kind of evolve with the stuff that Clayface can do, and that's really neat. Yeah, so Hagen for a moment, it's looking all hopeful. Like you're right, it's a very pathos-filled moment, and as you realize, it's like tensing muscles. Teddy's like saying, "That's wonderful, Matt," and then basically Matt Hagen just he kind of freaks out here, just saying like, "No, it's too hard," and it's like the idea that I think that shows the divide between B movie versus an A-list actor. Where this is a guy who he can it's like he has the opportunity. He's been given the ultimate second chance, but he's not committing to it. And I think that speaks to he's an actor who holds himself back.
Yeah, yeah.
So it kind of speaks to kind of like a kind of underlying truth of actors. But again, we need to know Matt a lot more to kind of stress that. So I'm with you. It's an iffy thing.
Well, then what I'm saying is that we cut immediately to like, okay, I guess he's just a criminal now.
As a heartbreak line, Ron Perlman delivers this line so well. It's such a great dramatic reading, and I love that. I love how he plays up the melodrama of Clayface. It's great where he says, "I'm not an actor anymore. I'm not even a man."
Oh yeah, it's a good line, but like I said, it's just sort of like, I'm not kidding you. I literally had to like rewind just to make sure I didn't like accidentally like skip ahead in the episode because it was that it was like, oh man, okay, I guess we're going full speed ahead with this Clayface villain thing after a really sympathetic scene.
I think kind of the sad cosmic tragedy of Clayface is, at least with the animated one, Tiki, is that especially in the second episode, they really hit upon this with a lot of Brando references. But to me, I always thought that Matt Hagen, if he applied himself, if he believed in himself truly, like if that accident did kind of take him off his game, that he was just like an actor held together by makeup, he could have been a Brando. Like again, he has tantrums like a Brando, as we see in this episode. He's throwing stuff and everything. Like he has like an old school like an Orson Welles or a Brando bug in him. He could be a great actor, but he holds himself back, and that's why he kind of gives up instantly, and that's why he doesn't have any faith in himself. It's like he's as he just walks around regularly, he's coded in a reminder of his failure of like, no, you're not an actor, you're an effect. But again, they don't hit upon that as much as they should. So I'm reading into it, so it's where it lies.
All right.
So anyway, again, great Perlman performance though. Okay, so Clayface begins to get his revenge. And of course, I think he does have kind of a neat revenge plan. He plans, very simply, he plans to take the place of one of Daggett's men, who he knows is going to go after Fox, because, tying up loose ends. He knows these guys took care of him, so they're, by, process of elimination, they're going after Fox.
Right.
So he's just going to, they're staking out the hospital. He's going to wander in there, he's going to, take out Daggett's henchmen, and of course he's going to become them and get real close to Daggett and exact revenge. That's a good plan, I thought.
It is.
All right, so let's see. So yes, oh man, this is a great save here. I love Batman saving people. There's always great. So as Clayface is morphing into a doctor, I like that device of like, okay, we know Clayface is in the hospital, but now he could be anyone.
It's almost kind of like John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Darkman too, because I've been Tiki, remind me. I would probably ask this before. Have you ever seen Darkman?
No, I have not actually.
Watch the original one, Tiki. Just the first. The first one.
That's Liam Neeson. Raimi movie, right?
Yeah. The first one's a Raimi one. The rest are just like I think he produces them. But the first one's directed by him and stars Liam Neeson. It's a really good one. I recommend it.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Anyway, yes. So it is a really great commercial break, by the way. So Lucius Fox is in his bed, and then Germs. And I like that we see Germs, surprisingly a good fighter, which I'll admit just kind of throws me for a loop in the first part. But Germs, I love just kind of while he is like, he's so
like I said, Drag, it didn't even really cross my mind that this guy was a henchman at first. I just thought he was sort of like a weird doppelganger Alfred.
Yeah. But I tell you what I really appreciate about Germs even to this day is I appreciate that while Ed Begley Jr. he played up kind of the comedic elements of Germs. There's a menace there. This guy who can laugh at is still he's about to smother a man in cold blood. And again, he'll because that's his job. He just follows Daggett's orders.
Sure.
And the commercial break is, again, for a kid shows, is kind of gutsy. He has a pillow and he's going toward. He's basically smothering the camera, and that's where
basically about to pull a One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
And that's where it cuts the commercial, where the pillow, it's all black as the pillow is about to smother you. Okay, we cut back, and here's the bat save right here. Shuriken battering. I've categorized all these batterings. I know which one is which here. The
Oh,
Shuriken
I'm
battering.
sure you do.
The Shuriken battering pins the pillow against the wall. Germs flees. He's run through the hospital knowing that Batman's on his tail. Great Batman window entry shot, by the way. Batman's easily TMS and Batman here is a marriage made in heaven. It's beautiful. So anyway, so he ends up in a room, and this is such a great. There's a Wolfman setup right here, Marv Wolfman all the way. Germs ends up in a room full of infectious diseases and basically infectious disease specimens.
Right.
So a room filled with jars filled with samplings of diseases.
Crimson fever. There's no cure.
So the panic and fear sweeps him, and Batman can see this, and he plays on this as
Germs, yeah, he's great.
Germs, and this is a beautiful scene. And Tiki, this is my go-to scene when I think of like an intimidating voice for Batman. This is my go-to Kevin Conroy. This is how you get into a Kevin Conroy.
I can see it.
Also, when I just kind of think of like tough guy interrogations, I always kind of think of like the simple.
It's funny, Dragon, because we have that that great interrogation scene from part 1 with the Batwing, right?
Yeah.
But in a way, this almost feels like an even more intense interrogation scene just because of the way it's played.
And this is so cleverly written here. So basically, he's surrounded by, he's begging to get out. Batman uses his germophobia to his advantage. And right here, this is a line I always use when I'm like trying to get into the Kevin Conroy Batman voice. I always use the man who impersonated Bruce Wayne. I want his name. That sort of thing. That's
right.
That's always my
quintessential Batman line.
That is my go-to short of the whole "I am vengeance, I am Batman." The go-to line for me. It's that one right there. That's why this episode will never leave my memory. Anyway,
I love how as he punches the wall, the jar shakes and it gets closer and closer to falling.
I know, it's so well directed, animated. TMS just the little wiggle on the jar, Tiki. It's the little wiggle. It's so tense, and he's just fearing it's going to crack over his head. He's going to be infected with crimson fever. Anyway, so like punch, and of course, what motivates the punches, by the way, I want his name, and he says. Bruce Wayne, try again. He says, okay, Matt Hagen, the movie star, of course. I love the logic of that. He just gives him an outlandish answer, and of course that leads to another punch. It's like, no, really, it is. And this is another great line too. It's such a great meta line for Kevin Conroy for an actor an actor on stage. By the way, is to kind of have it's just no actor is that good. No actor, no makeup is that good. So then Germ starts to elaborate that he had something special. No one does cowards better than Ed Begley Jr. he had something no one else had. He starts to go into, and then a police officer enters, and you'll notice he is voiced by Ron Perlman. So I love that's like the vision. I love that's the audio cue for you in the scene. Like if you recognize that voice, you know that it's Clayface.
Sure, right.
It's a little Perlman tip off, and of course, and I love this is Batman kind of showing that. He punches the wall, and then, of course, I love he just stands there waiting for it. It falls, Germs panics, he catches it, and we reveal. I love it's like a little blink and you miss it reveal. Seawater for analysis. He wasn't going to give the guy crimson
fever.
Notice
that. Okay.
Nice. That's the cool thing, Tika. It's like blink and you miss it, but it says like Batman.
You know what that reminds me of, Dragon?
What?
It reminds me of
the popsicle.
The Punisher popsicle.
Yeah, the popsicle.
Yeah. Anyways,
but that's just it's a cool touch showing that Batman's not a monster, but he is willing to make people think that he is. It's just it's brilliant. It's such a brilliant little touch.
Sure.
Anyway, so of course, remember it's like tensing a muscle, so Clayface can't hold this form long. And very much like a Darkman device like that. And again, you'll see the movie, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. For the folks out there along with Tiki, haven't seen it. Anyway, so we have the reveal that, oh my God, it's Clayface, because Batman has a follow-up question. Like, I don't have time for this, throws him against the wall, knocking him out like a rag ball. Just drops him on the table. Again, all the physics TMS also accomplishes. And this is terrifying if you're a germaphobe, and I love just the cleverness here. It's so horrifying. Like years later, it dawns on you that Clayface rips off a piece of his face. And he puts it on on Germs' face, and of course, Germs, you're gonna be freaking out if anything spilling your face like that, let alone a piece of a guy's face.
Right.
I love just the mental scars that's going to leave on Germs. I love this, how brilliant that is. Anyway, because you got to remember, he's the guy who dumped the stuff on Clayface. That's good comeuppance. I mean, he earned that. Okay, anyway, so Batman comes to, he pursues Clayface. We go to the roof. Clayface is about to throw the guy off. He saves Germs at the last minute with the bat rope. Hooray! We have that great reflexive Batman bit. I always love this bit where, he gets a glimpse of Batman, and basically the thought of Batman pops in his head for a moment, and he kind of instinctually he morphs into a weird clay Batman.
That's cool. That's cool.
I think this great kind of disturbed line from Batman. It says, "What in the name of heaven?" It's like, well, this is new stuff for me. Clay me? What world are we living in? Little did he know.
James Gordon.
Little did he know, 2 seasons later, he'd be fighting a robot version of himself.
Oh God!
Anyway, believe it or not, that's one of my nostalgic favorites, but we'll get there. Anyway, so then we have a brick wall punch by Clayface, and now we're starting to get to, again, he's morphing more here. Where he's like,
I love the lobster claws dragon.
Oh yeah, like he does he punches Batman with a brick wall. Then he's a giant like a hammer, but it's like it's like a cleaver hammer. So it's like all
the hammer stuff very much reminds me of Sandman.
Oh yeah, and then he has the weird metal metallic hand, and basically as Batman. Tiki, the animation on this is wonderful. I don't mean we're getting to your lobster bit here, but it's just like I love the slide, Tiki. Where Batman this is the stuff TMS lives for, Tiki. Where Batman he gets knocked across the roof. And he slides just along the building, where he grasps on the edge of the building. He's hanging by one hand, just the last second, but he's like skimmed the building before landing on the edge there. I mean, that's great, because he basically he goes to kick Clayface in the chest, and he gets stuck. Clayface throws him, and that's what leads to the skim. He's hanging off the roof, and then Clayface is about to use lobster claws to kind of to pinch him off the building, essentially. But then, before he can do that, Clayface is taken aback because he did a lot of shape-shifting, amazing, animation on the shape-shifting.
Oh yeah.
And Batman points out, and I love the detective work that bounds here, Tiki. I love how all this comes to fruition, man. I love all the visual cues here. It's all wonderful, delicious breadcrumbs, Tiki. Batman points out, all that shape-shifting takes a lot out of you, doesn't it?
Uh-huh.
I always love how helpless Clayface is there. Batman just kind of like leaning over him saying that. I always love that.
I love, Clayface at that point, he hears police sirens and, he jumps off the building. I love that Batman's like horrified at him jumping off the building,
I love it. Again, I love it. He goes for the save, even though
sure.
He goes the wrapping around there. And of course, when he falls, we have this great dramatic, and I know Shirley Walker was involved in this episode. I think she did all the music for this one. Just all these great little, aside from the Clayface thing, but she did all the essential themes at the very least. But just that horrified reaction of Batman with that great music building up to it, it's like, oh my God. It's like the big splat, the big earth-shattering splat. And then, of course, you realize, oh, Clayface is fine. He escaped down a storm drain.
Yep. Yeah, that he did.
Would you like to, or can you abstain yourself?
Oh, I can abstain myself. I'm fine.
Okay. Well, let's moving on from Pointless Clayface going down a storm drain. Okay. So Batman Lee, I love this bit too. I don't mean to keep saying I love all these bits, but they're really good.
Yeah, they are.
Batman leaves Germs on the rooftop. I love that we don't even see the top of Batman. Usually we see him stop for a moment, see Germs all squirming on the ground. He just leaves him there. All right. Okay, we have Summer Gleason giving a prompt. I'm sorry, take us through some of this. Yeah,
so Clayface is watching an interview with Daggett. Let me see. Teddy's urging him to get some sleep, but Clayface, he's just, don't patronize me. I don't need rest. I don't need food.
And I don't need
you.
Poor Teddy. He's thrown across into a bookshelf again, like a class. Again, he's like an actor having a tantrum. That's the thing. He's like an old school actor having a tantrum, trashing a room here. But poor Ted. He just wants nothing but to help Matt. And again, this is the put in this episode because it's in the last episode we talked about this. There, I heard it has to be Kevin Altieri because he worked on this one. Kevin Altieri, I'm pretty sure he said that what they were going for with Ted and Matt is that Ted has Ted and Matt might have had a relationship, which is why, of all places to hide out, that's why he's going to Ted's house.
Yeah, right.
Again, I'm pretty sure Altieri verified that was the intent, but he just kind of got lost in the subtlety. But yeah, either or, his point is like good friend or more.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of smiley, frowny thing again. So anyway, yeah. So he leaves. I'm sorry. Keep taking, sir.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, that's about it for the scene.
Yeah. So anyway, so Batman is Batman's investigating.
Investigating the face cream.
Yes, he's investigating. He also has like Alfred in the back. I'm sorry. Yeah, he's in Hagen's trailer, and that's why, and that's kind of another foreshadow for like all the images on the wall again. So he's in Hagen's trailer, and he sees the Renew You jar. So that gives him an inkling of what's going on here. It's the cream and stuff. Yeah. So he knows basically that cues him up that he's going to be targeting Daddy because okay, Renew You. That's the big event that's going to be on TV tonight. So then we're at the Batcave, and Alfred brings Batman these Matt Hagen VHS tapes, and I love how they're going to be used.
Oh yeah.
Basically, let's just say Batman plans to use the reflex action against Clayface with those tapes. It's kind of what's ruminating here. So Gotham Insider is taping live in front of a studio audience.
I love how this is like the the final set piece of this two-parter. It's a good choice.
Oh yeah, again, it's always great in two-parters in general. You have like a great kind of third act set piece, so like the big third act for like the whole two-parter itself. Like with Two-Face, of course, it's the casino. It's the casino hideout. Here, it's with Cat in the Claw was it's kind of a military compound base, but
yeah, Cat in the Claw was kind of an exception. Ironically enough, I think the better action in Cat in the Claw was in the first part.
Yeah, it was a stronger start. You're not wrong. Anyway. So yes, Gotham Inside, a great set piece for again. Of course, it's a studio kind of setting and feels very actor tied into acting and kind of film and television stuff. So it's kind of it's a good set piece in general. So Batman strolls in as a janitor.
Dragon, I want the Batman janitor, the janitor Batman action figure.
You want the action figure? Or do you want the Lego?
Do both things exist?
Well, Tiki, believe it or not.
Oh God!
No. I'm just saying the animated series line that I've gone on about for ages, especially that Jim Gordon figure they did. I'm just saying they love to go really deep cuts with like all the different variations. So one of these days,
that's why I'm asking because I know they like to go deep cuts with
like right now. No, one does not exist. But again, one of these days, if I get what they did, they had like a multiple head version of Batman where you can put all the expressions on his head. One of these days, they might have like multiple kind of alter egos of Batman, which could include this. Anyway, he kind of strolls in as janitor, and of course they could have played up kind of the acting, the disguise acting parallel here with Matt Hagen, the actor, and kind of Bruce Wayne going undercover.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, so I love this. I love that we're seeing the breadcrumbs here. He's putting the tapes in the bank of televisions, like in the AV room, and like all these VHS tapes that Alfred gave him, and we saw. We're tracking it very well.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Daggett is showing us. Essentially, he's showing a demonstration on the video screen of the facelift in a jar, which impresses the crowd of women hoping to erase their crow's feet.
Yeah, except for one.
Sure. Yes, you're
very
right.
Unhappy.
You're right about that. And again, I love the directing of this of the monitor framing. So basically, as Batman in the other room, the sequence is so well laid out, Tiki. Again, we're so close in this environment here. So as Batman is like doing this one task, he's putting on the VHS tapes, and they have this one monitor. As like these monitors keep kind of getting blocked out with like tape, like the blue of the VHS tape being put in.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the action of the other scene going on as this lady is kind of asking a question. She's getting really antsy, so it kind of adds a ticking clock to it almost.
Yeah.
Take us through.
Yeah, so the lady just starts like chastising Daggett about like, you're
isn't it true you're going through direct marketing because it's dangerous?
Yeah, stores won't carry it because of the unhealthy side effects, and once you start using it, you can't stop using it without horrible pain.
I love how he's starting to break down as he keeps getting closer and closer. He says, horrible pain. He's kind of hamming it up as he's getting closer and closer. And again, I love like the visual cues. You can tell if you didn't know already. He like the two bodyguards. They kind of go up and she knocks them both back like a yard away.
Right.
Just making her way to the stage. Is getting right up in Daggett's face, and then of course the big reveal. And I love this line. I love how we have like the echoey kind of the jowls of Clayface kind of echoing the line here for the big build the big reveal. Why don't you tell them about me? And of course, it's a huge reveal. And I always love this little detail that you can see the scale change when we cut to the audience being horrified. You can see him getting bigger.
Mm-hmm.
So Daggett's men, they pull their guns, and instantly Clayface throws pieces of himself to kind of block the guns in their hands. Like, oh, God, it's worse than what Spider-Man does. Oh, God. So then he grabs that. I love this as a revenge plan. Again, he has Daggett right where he wants him on TV and kind of called him out on his stuff here. And again, this does ruin Daggett's career, essentially. This is what makes Daggett desperate in all the other appearances. Horrible TV thing going on here. So he grabs Daggett. Batman grapples down. They have this awesome big, all the action between Batman and Clayface here is fantastic. Where Batman just he swings down and there's this huge impact ripple on Clayface. Basically, where Batman slammed into him, you can see the indentation of the ripple effect.
Mm-hmm.
So he saves Daggett. Of course, as Daggett tries to get away like the slime that he is, Batman wraps him up with a batarang with bat rope. Batman is trying to reason with Hagen. He's just saying, Hagen, you don't have to do this.
No Hagen, only Clayface.
Essentially. Then Batman's dodging axe blades and such, other kind of horrific giant implements. He turns into a Raiders ball, which kind of crashes.
Yes, which is great.
Kind of crashes a hole in the wall, and then this is great. This is terrifying. Your Batman, he goes in the other room and he sees he's looking for Clayface down the hallway, and Hagen's in the vent. He's learned a whole bunch of new tricks.
Yeah, I love how he goes through the vent, kind of like Play-Doh.
Yeah. So he's learned all sorts of new tricks. Now we have this.
He really adapted to that power set very quickly.
That's the thing, and that's the argument you can make, is that, again, he's been more adept at Clayface than he was as an actor.
Okay, I can see where you're going with that.
I'm saying the whole, I'm Clayface, no more Matt Hagen. That he's accepting kind of he's accepting fiction of, the roles he's taken on versus, again, unfortunately, I'm reading mostly into this, but I wish it was a little bit more in the episode, but I think it's there, though. It's he's accepting the monster before he's accepting the man.
Sure.
And of course, Batman's going to use that against him in the next scene. But anyway, so Tiki takes through the awesome hand bit.
I'm sorry, what?
The hand bit where basically he pins Batman against the wall.
You go ahead.
Right. So there's this really great bit where he uses a giant hand to pin Batman against the wall. And it's clear as he's being all gloaty and stuff. Batman, he breaks the hand off, and he uses that hand as a battering ram to knock Clayface into the AV room, and in the process, and this is
I'm sorry, guys. There's so much fluid fight animation. It's hard for me to keep track of every little beat of it.
And again, it's so the little details to you. As he knocks Clayface into Clayface is a big guy, obviously. He knocks him into the AV room. It's a narrow doorway. Batman knocks him with so much force, his arms come off.
Right.
Of course, they regrow again, but basically, he regrows his clay limbs by absorbing the hand that Batman shoved him with.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just awesome. Then we have the big climax here, folks. Big climax. So let's see where to start. Here's a big scene here. Okay. Oh yes. So he's really great here. So Batman gets across the room. The idea is he is going to. He's going to turn the VHSs on, the video monitors on. And before he can do that, Clayface is trying to suffocate Batman from across the room. And of course, Batman's getting suffocated. It's like, oh, guys, he's a goner. Poor Batman. Oh, Bruce, I knew him well, that sort of thing.
Yeah, because they're really going to kill off Batman, 20 episodes into his show.
Alas, poor Wayne, I knew him well. Anyway, so Batman, as he's starting to be suffocated. It's intense if you're watching this as a kid, though.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Anyways, he's starting to be drowned, and of course, Batman he hits the switch, and then all the monitors come on, and the attack relents, and Hagen's kind of overcome by the visual you see here, folks. Just imagine it more expansive, but it's essentially this. Clayface is noticing all his past roles. Well, we're not quite there yet.
Oh,
But
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
he's noticing all these past roles, and they have this, and this is what I'm loving. I always love when Batman does this thing with his villains. Of course, we saw this definitely with Two-Face, and of course, we're going to see this with a number of villains, where Batman tries to appeal to the humanity within them, where he's confronting Clayface with his
This
humanity.
reminds me of, Dragon, and I only know about this because of the nostalgia critic. It really reminds me of Baby Doll.
Well, yeah, no, this comes way before Baby
Oh,
Doll.
I know it comes before Baby Doll. I know. I'm just saying it. I'm just saying it's kind of a similar situation.
Well, you're right. Yeah, again, it's kind of Batman confronting them either visually or directly. Yes, and again, he's confronting.
I'm going to defeat you with the power of symbolism.
Yes, look at Matt Hagen, the actor. You can. Yeah, it's really nice how Batman puts this here. And again, I think he's being accurate here. Again, it's going to take him a long time to kind of get to the place of being an actor. Basically, what Batman's saying here is, like, look at what you used to be. You can play those roles again. Let me help you find a cure. And again, it's just Batman showing compassion, much like he did with Mr. Freeze. It's that sort of quality that the animated series kind of made its bread and butter on, which is it's a thing of beauty. Mm-hmm. And then again, now here's the sequence. He hats off the TMS entirely with this sequence. Or basically, let me say what it is, and we'll just show it. Clayface goes through reflex overload, essentially, where he's reminiscing about his old self, like we established earlier in that scene. And now he's being overcome by all these other visuals, like all these essentially all his roles are being presented in front of him. And any direction he's looking at, he's going to shapeshift into that. And remember, shapeshifting takes it out of him. It's like tensing a muscle. So it's like pop, 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 pop of like a muscle.
Right.
So, and it looks something amazing like this.
And that's just like a small sampling of the animation here.
Yeah, that's just how it starts, folks. I mean, it goes crazier.
I mean, there's maybe 6 or 7 GIFs all put together that make up this whole sequence.
Oh yeah, sure. This is a huge scene. Again, every role he goes from he starts off like the swashbuckler, he goes to like a knight, and the great thing too is that the way it's animated is that it's not just like he shapeshifts one by one, but again, they do it really instinctually. Every monitor that his eyes are catching. He has to morph instantly into that character. So it's like, and you imagine every transformation takes a little ahead of you. So it's excruciating for him, and this is the Cronenberg thing of it all here, where he's, and what TMS did too here is that Matt Hagen, he's spinning as the spasm of the transformation. He is turning to a different monitor. As he spins and he turns, it's causing him to turn even more and more and more. And you'll notice different parts of him. He's like an amalgamation of different characters. He has that haunting sound effect. Remember that haunting sound effect? It's he has a knight's arm, but he has half a monster's face, and it's these boxer's arm. He's all sorts of things as he's spinning out of control. He's begging, turn them off, I can't control it. And then Batman realizes, oh man, I'm kind of going too far with this. And this is such a Marv Wolfman defeat here of oh god, it's so horrific the way this is what Batman's done here to the guy. So Batman, again, trying to help him. He's trying to turn off the monitor, but Clayface is freaking out. We know he's prone to tantrum, so he's shutting these things off as fast as he can, and he's breaking monitors, and there's surges of electricity that are seemingly shocking.
The panel into the screen.
Oh yeah, and knocking Batman across the room so Batman can't shut off. So it's chaos. It's nothing but chaos. And in the end, after all this spectacular TMS animation, he essentially shocks the crap out of himself. The GCPD enter. And what I always looked at it this way, Tiki. I always looked at in the last moments here for this, let's say this grand death scene. In the last moments, a lot of people say it's really convenient that he turns into Bruce Wayne. I really think it's going into memory of the people he's shapeshifted as most recently.
Uh-huh.
Because think about it, he goes from Bruce Wayne as the cops walk in, oh god, look, he looks just like Bruce Wayne. Of course, column A, column B, put it together. Oh, that makes sense. Okay, so
which one do I shoot?
I don't think it's quite that one, Tiki, but okay.
Right.
You know what I mean? Then he goes from the Matt Hagen, when he put all the Renew on, which is the fixed Matt Hagen. Of course, the last image is the scarred Matt Hagen, and then of course finally is the Clayface image. So again, we go through I think it's it's building up that reflexology, like the muscle memory, quite literally, is what he's transforming into in his last moments here. And we have a great line by him, Tiki. You remember it?
I do. Oh yeah, I do. He says, you know what? You know what I would have given for a death scene like this.
Shame I won't be able to see the notices. Then he dies. And again, that's a poetic death scene for Clayface. Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah, right. I was about to say, like, he does come back, right?
Well, I'm just saying, for him, I mean, he's playing up the death. I'm saying for his death.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
For him acting dead. I mean,
what's ironic, though, is that he does get to, he's treated as like, oh, how ironic that I'm dying and this is a death scene. But it actually is an example of him acting.
He does kind of get the pull in Andy Kaufman.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So yeah, it's a beautiful sequence, and again, it's a kind of a poetic ending for me too. But I won't be around to read the notices, and of course, he just he's seemingly a dead mound of clay on the ground. So then Lucia, we check back in with good old Lucius Fox. Lucius realizes that it wasn't Bruce Wayne. He's very relieved, so we're all good there with Lucius. Daggett is in custody, and again, the idea going forward is that Daggett's going to be rebuilding his reputation, basically clinging on to stuff going forward.
I love the animation on the, Bruce has a little bit of clay that he's kind of experimenting on.
Yeah, and he demonstrates this to Alfred, and this is important. So he demonstrates to Alfred that, I'm surprised. Basically, they still up and around doing stuff, and that Bruce demonstrates that, look what happens when I electrify the clay, Alfred. Electrifies the clay, and it's still morphing and shape-shifting unaffected. It's fine. And basically, Alfred kind of notices, oh, yes, it's unaffected by electricity, which, of course, Batman... I love that we overlay Batman saying... It makes for a perfect ending, I think. Batman kind of overlaying this as we're seeing what he's saying come to light.
Right.
As he says, I'm not surprised if that... basically says he did talk about having the perfect destiny. I'm not surprised that the body at the morgue is a shell. And we see the shell at the morgue kind of turning into clay dust. And you said he was an actor after all. And, he could. He basically said it was like the greatest scene of his. He said himself it was the greatest scene of his career.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a sad bit with Teddy here. Teddy. Teddy gives a sad goodbye here. Says, "So long, Matt."
Yeah.
It's so real, it fooled all of us. And as Batman says that final line, we have this lady who's kind of wanders behind Teddy. And I love that Teddy's completely unknowing. He just walks just behind him. He gives a laugh. It starts off as a woman laughing maniacally. And, of course, we hear at the very end, it's like that maniacal end chuckle as the eyes turn yellow like Clayface. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, good. Great ending.
Good stuff. All right. Yeah, Dragon, overall thoughts on the the two-parter here. I think it's very good. It's certainly a lot better than the last two-parter we got. I don't want to dwell on that too much, but
again, T, don't forget, Prophecy of Doom was actually bad. All right.
I'm sorry, what?
Prophecy of Doom, the one, the whole Nostromos thing. That one was really bad, okay?
God, okay, yeah, you're right. That one was really bad.
That's what I'm saying. Like, apples and oranges thing. Again, I'll take Cat in the Claw versus Prophecy of Doom, all right?
All right, fair enough. But at any rate, yeah, I mean, this was a really, like you said, Dragon, there were some story elements here that they could have expanded on a little bit more, but... overall, I think it is a good story. It's just they could have made it a little bit, they could have made a good story great, but...
Yeah.
It's still very solid, and especially in the animation on it, especially in the second part, very, as I said, like, especially in the transformation, it's got kind of like an anime vibe to it, which I appreciate.
Certainly. So, yeah, I mean, it's I think part two is more of a standout. It's more iconic. I'll say that's all the memorable stuff, I think, from the two-part comes primarily from the second part, but again, the ending of the first part that leads into it, so it does work as a package. But basically,
I gotta say, probably out of the two-parters that we've done, this very much, both of the parts lead into each other very well.
Yeah,
I think Two-Face is obviously probably a better two-parter than this, but the thing with Two-Face is that it's two very distinct episodes, whereas this I feel works as one cohesive story that very much flows together. Not that Two-Face doesn't, but.
Yeah, sure. And again, this one, I just feel it's very solid. The two-part in the whole, it's very solid. And again, like honestly, for me, like, basically, it'd be a question if I in the ranking of the two-parters, which I think there's like five. I'm pretty sure there's five. There might be six because there's let me see. Okay, you have in the way I'd rank it, Two Faces. It's between two. For me, I'd put Demon Quest at the beginning. There, you have Demon Quest, Two Face. You have a Clay, you have Feet of Clay. You have Robin's Reckoning. There's Shadow of the Bat, Cat in the Claw, and Heart of Steel. You have seven in total. You have seven two-parters. And this one I would put it's like either third or fourth. It's basically between this and Robin's Reckoning for me personally. That's where I would kind of rank. It's like behind my other two favorites, behind Two Face and Demon Quest. But I think it's really good. It's really solid. It's really iconic. It stood the test of time, mainly in the second part. But again, overall, it is a really good standout kind of introduction to Clayface, and it's kind of it's one of those marvels of like something the animated series did that for the longest time. Again, now with Gotham, things have kind of changed, but for the longest time we never.
I'm James Gordon.
Exactly. I mean, you got to remember, for the longest time, this was Clayface was the main claim that Batman the Animated Series had over a lot of other Batman properties. Like Clayface was a character you can't really do anywhere else but in animation.
Very much true, yes.
So when people thought of Clayface, they thought the animated series, and by proxy, again, it's kind of something that helped the animated series as a whole stand the test of time. So there's a lot to appreciate about this episode, and I wholeheartedly agree. Again, missed opportunities, but on the whole, still really it's solid. Could have been a contender, but it was still really good.
All right.
So
what's coming up next, Dragon?
Here we go. Road Rage turned horror story. The Birth of Harley Quinn. Ed Begley Jr. Can a family man survive one bad day? What favor could the Joker possibly want? Where's Batman? Find out. Same animated bat time, same animated bat place.
On the next visit to the animated Batcave with Dragon, you're going to have to remind me of the title. I'm so sorry.
The Joker's Favor.
The Joker's Favor. All right. No Hagen, only Clayface.